Welcome back to another action figure review. In today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the very long-awaited and very sought-after item, which is the Emperor Davros as seen in Remembrance of the Daleks. So this has been a long-awaited item for many years now, considering how rare and collectible the original release was, and it actually became one of the most expensive action figures from this range. You know, we've had fans crying out from the rooftops for a character to re-release a new version of this Davros, but now the wait is finally over. As we're familiar with, this condensed box has the white base with a purple glow surrounding the window, which is the colour that represents the 7th Doctor's era. You also have the name of the set and the gold sticker that has been on most of these B&M sets, the name of the story that this figure comes from, as well as the current Doctor Who logo. And then on the back you also have some information about Davros throughout the years, and something that hasn't been seen in quite a while. We also have a backdrop of the Imperial Dalek mothership, which is extremely cool and represents the set as seen in the story from what I can tell, quite good. However, it is a bit of a shame that this figure is also sealed onto the backdrop, which to me just seems a bit pointless, since you will be damaging this wonderful bit of artwork when you're trying to remove the packaging. I've seen some people cut around it, but stupidly when I opened mine, I saw what people were doing after I opened mine, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but to be fair, the box is going to be going in the bin. Out of the box, Davros really looks outstanding here. Like I said before, he has been a figure that most fans have wanted to see re-release due to the rarity of the original. It was always something that I would see requested on Facebook groups and Twitter, demanding a reissue of this toy, but the reasoning for why it took us such a long time for the figure to come out was due to the fact that Character Options assumed that the moulding to make this figure was accidentally scrapped. Luckily, I think it was a year ago or so now, it was confirmed by the man himself, Al Jawar, that this tooling had been mislaid, and they were later found after a thorough audit of the factory, thus making it possible to have a brand new version made so fans can own this toy today. So my initial thoughts on this are that the paint jobs around the body are just terrific from what I can tell. The whole body has been cast this time around in a white gloss colour instead of being painted on, with the dark gold detailing such as the dome lights, the ridging along the bottom part of the dome, as well as the hemispheres of course. It looks very good, there's no paint bleeds in sight. And then paying attention to the dome, as I said, you have those lovely enlarged versions of the Imperial dome lights with the hexagonal window where you can actually view Davros if you shine a light upon it. Now, the outline has been a bit of controversy to some fans, including myself, where they have painted it gold this time around, when I believe it's actually meant to be black. When you actually compare the toy to some of the screen grabs, it does come across as looking black, at least in certain lighting it does. And then when you compare it to the original, I think the black does look better personally. It looks more screen accurate to my eyes anyhow. But apparently, according to some sources, this is in fact correct. The gold version is meant to be the correct version as seen in Experience apparently. I mean, I saw the prop up front. I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally for me, I kind of prefer the black one, but if you prefer the gold detailing, then yeah, it's personal preference, I guess. The skirt, as well as the hexagonal piece that the dome sits upon, is all one piece, and that has also been cast in this lovely vibrant white with the hemispheres being painted in that brilliant bronze. Luckily, mine doesn't seem to have any blemishes or bleeds, which is a plus. And then the final detail on the skirt that differentiates this to a normal Dalek toy is that you have the two circular discs that appear just underneath the dome part, which has been sculpted on, and again is a very nice attention to detail to the on-screen counterpart. And to finish off the body, we also have the traditional fender that appears on all Daleks. This time we have the two-tiered version that's been seen on most of the 80s counterparts, which again has been cast in the same colour to match the rest of the body, which gives it a nice uniform. So obviously the main feature of this toy is that you can open the dome to reveal Davros, and I must say, in hand, it's not as bad as I thought it looked when actually comparing it to the promotional images. The head sculpt is outstanding when it comes to comparing it to the on-screen counterpart. The skin tone is a lot paler and also a lot greener in a sense. I know some people have classed this as being more accurate, but I'm not quite sure if that's the case. I mean, I'd personally argue that it should be more of a tanned colour, like how the mask looked in previous stories. It's more than likely it's down to the lighting in the story that makes it look like odd colour, so that's probably what they've gone for here. The head has also got this subtle wash over the top just to bring out all those wrinkles and makes all those details pop, which I really love. The eyes and mouth have also been painted in a dark brown, but I feel the paint that is covering the mouth is a bit too extreme. I know a lot of fans have said it's sort of like that in the show anyway, but in certain angles I kind of think it looks more like a giant frown. It's probably my only gripe towards the paint apps. Davros's third eye has also been painted in this lovely pale dark blue, with the wiring this time being cast in red, which looks obviously a lot better than painting them on like the original one did, and I think they look slightly thinner this time around, but I think that is just down to the fact that the paint thickened the sculpt on the previous one. And then obviously, for some odd reason, they always used to paint the lower wires on the original release yellow, which seems odd on all the 80s Davros figures. You also have the silver head brace going along the top of the skull, as well as the neck brace going along the back. However, this has unfortunately been missed out and hasn't been painted blue like its predecessor did. It is a bit of a shame because I don't understand why they would have missed it out. I mean, if they could do it on the original, I think they could have personally done it here. Only another minor gripe. You can barely see it, but it would have been cool if they added that in. And then finally, on the head, you have the famous microphone, which seems to be made out of a bendy type of plastic, which is depicted all in silver. When I first opened mine, it did look very warped, and he practically looked like he was eating it. It can be rectified. I mean, I just personally went over it with a hairdryer until the plastic was very soft, and then just bent it back into shape. The body of Davros has just been cast in a black, with all the wires being depicted in mostly grey and blue, with larger sections being depicted in red and yellow. Now, I will admit, on some of the publicity images, I did think the wiring looked a bit bland, as the original had so many more colours which didn't seem to work, but I kind of understand why they've gone with this. And having the figure in hand, I don't think it actually looks as bad as I originally thought. I believe they used a lot of photos when it was refurbished for the Doctor Who experience. When comparing it to the original, it definitely shows that the original had such a messier paint job, with some of the wires not being painted at all, or some of the wires not being painted in their entirety, and some of it just looked really sloppy in general. Here we have a much more streamlined look with the colours that I would say is a lot better than the original attempt. I think trying to replicate what was seen in the original serial would have just been a nightmare due to the lack of visual images, as they wanted to keep Davros's appearance a secret. So yeah, personally, I think this looks a lot better. And then when it comes to articulation, it is unfortunately lacking with this figure. The head on mine seems to be extremely stiff and doesn't really want to move. I have seen some people say if you boil it in hot water, it sort of releases it. I attempted it and it didn't seem to move, so I'm just going to leave it. And then moving to the lid, it obviously rises and falls to either reveal or hide Davros. And then, just like a Dalek, Davros has 3 wheels on the bottom, 2 standard, and 1 swivel, which can give Davros a full range of mobility. So when it actually comes to re-releases, I've got to admit that this has got to be one of the best. The number of fans who've sadly missed out on the initial release have finally got the chance to get their grubby little protuberances on this action figure. The original was quite hard to come by, that came with that destroyed Dalek, but I was kind of lucky to be able to pick that set up from back in the day, and was mesmerised by the fact that I did own every version of Davros in plastic form. Ooh. And I know some people were a bit miffed because we didn't get a special weapons Dalek or the destroyed Dalek with Davros, but I guess they will probably make their appearances in later releases next year, hopefully. As for the destroyed Dalek, it's unsure whether the original mould even survives, so perhaps that's why we didn't see a reissue here. Who knows? I mean, I could be talking out my backside here. Maybe it's coming out in another set. I really don't know. As for Davros, yeah, he's an amazing figure, and the updates on this new version are definitely an improvement. I think my only gripe is just down to the mouth paint, which to me is just a bit over the top, but I suppose it's just because I'm more used to the original, but the rest of the decors are a vast improvement. I mean, really, I might just display one with the lid open and one with the lid closed, so have fun with that. I may even display one with the 8th Doctor to say he's from terra firma. I mean, his case looked a bit different, but kind of works. But anyway, yeah, go mad with it. I mean, display the figures wherever you want. If you're interested in picking yourself up a big dome Davros yourself, then he is available in B&M stores as we speak for only $12.99, and that is an absolute bargain. Hopefully, it won't be as difficult to hunt these new sets down, as they seem to be fairly distributed at this time of recordings from what I've seen, so good luck with that. And all I can say is, thank you for watching. I should hopefully be back in the near future for more action figure reviews, so stay tuned for all that. Oh, by the way, subscribe.